Good morning and welcome to Church at Home with Rachael for Friday morning, March the 12th. I'll get the date right yet. Now, I'm kind of fibbing here because it's not Friday morning yet. When I'm recording this, it is Thursday evening, March the 11th. And the reason I'm doing this now is, other than the fact that I have to have my car into the dealer first thing in the morning, I have just come off a Zoom meeting with the Deanery of Battle River, which is the group of Anglican churches that sort of are all gathered together in sort of from sort of here up to Edmonton, in a geographical area that we would ideally in non-COVID times get together on a regular basis and have meetings and worship together sometimes and be the church, the Anglican Church in this area, in this diocese. And this was my first opportunity to talk to people and to see some faces and to get to know people as much as you can on Zoom with a meeting of 23 people with a very specific agenda. And I'm very excited. This looks like a really great deanery. But the reason we were talking was because we were talking about what is it we're looking for? What is it we're praying for in the election of a new bishop? As some of you may know, Bishop Jane has tendered her resignation. That I don't think she's really retiring, but she's resigning from the position of bishop as of April 16th, after having given, I think, probably almost a year or more of extra time. At least she's given her resignation a long time ago. But then when the pandemic hit, she agreed to stay on to guide us through this. And now she's preparing to leave her ministry as the sitting bishop. So we wish her well. But we just had an incredible conversation about who do we believe that God is calling us to elect as a bishop. And I've been taking copious notes because it's really hopeful to me of the kind of person that we're looking for. So things like holy, like that when you meet this person, you would feel like you had an encounter with God. Someone who's humble, someone with a great deal of courage, someone who can continue the momentum that Bishop Jane has begun in this diocese, a good manager, a teacher, progressive in how we do church, recognizing that COVID has changed us, that we have picked up some new skill sets that we need to move forward. Someone who will support the community of deacons, someone who is inclusive of both groups like the Indigenous groups and the LGBTQ plus communities, but also those who feel that maybe they've been left behind as those groups have been brought in and they feel maybe they've been pushed out or forgotten. Mindful of the needs of rural ministries, rural parishes. Just absolutely an incredible sense of hope for this diocese. And so it made me wonder, what do you think a bishop should do? What do you think that a bishop should carry on behalf of his or her people? What do you think that the clergy and the congregations, the lay people, should do for the bishop? Obviously pray. But I just really got thinking about the ministry that the bishops have and the things that they do. So a bishop obviously takes care of the management of a diocese, sort of the CEO of a group of parishes in a geographical area. So in Edmonton, it is, I don't even know, it is as far down as here anyway, and around to Vermilion and I believe Cold Lake, and it goes north of Edmonton as well for quite a while. There's a combination of rural and urban and suburban. We have Indigenous populations. We've got hospitals, chaplaincies. We have prisons. We have the full gamut. But our bishop also takes care of parishes and deaneries as well. The bishop comes to us for confirmations and participates in inviting young people and people who are older as well in that moment when they reaffirm their baptismal vows. And in a church in which we have infant baptism, that confirmation is a very, very important sacrament, because it allows us to, as adults or as young people or as adults, to retake those vows, to say those things that were said on our behalf by our parents and godparents when we were children, and promise them for ourselves. These are the things that we are willing to do, the things that we feel called to do for God and in God's name, in our lives, in our families, in our communities, in our churches. And That's the bishop that comes to do that. And I think sometimes that having the bishop come and lay their hands on the head of the person being confirmed really brings it home how important that decision is. The bishop also lays hands upon the heads of deacons and priests and participates in consecrating other bishops. That sense that from the time of the apostolic succession through the ages, that continuation, that the Holy Spirit continues to come down through the hands of those who have had hands placed upon them, generation after generation after generation, to invoke the Holy Spirit and ask that God would bless and anoint this person in the vocation they have called, whether that be ordination to the episcopacy, to the priesthood or a diaconate, or in confirmation as that person confirms their baptismal vows. Our bishops also represent us on a provincial level, and also on a national level and an international level. We have what's called the Anglican Consultative Council, in which certain members of the communion come together to talk about the work of the church, the Anglican Church in the world. And then every 10 years or so, we have what's called the Lambeth Conference, where all of the bishops of all of the Anglican communion come together to talk about what is happening in their own pockets of Anglicanism in the world, and how can we reach out to one another and understand each other. And that can be a very difficult time. We need a bishop who is able to speak gently, but to speak firmly, because the things that are important to us, the things that make us who we are as Anglicans, as Albertans, as Canadians, as Anglicans, is very different than what makes an Anglican in Nigeria or Uganda or Russia or wherever else we're finding people coming from. They come together and they share their opinions. They share the thoughts and prayers of their diocese on behalf of the people, and make decisions that influence the way we get along with other Anglicans, with other parts of our Anglican communion. It's so important what is happening right now. So I ask you, regardless of whether you are Anglican, and regardless of where you might be, if you are Anglican in this country or anywhere, please pray. Please pray for this Diocese of Edmonton. Pray that we might listen to the Holy Spirit choosing that person who has already been chosen by God to be anointed as the new bishop, following Bishop Jane. That he or she may have the strength that they need, because they will not be perfect. They will not make everyone happy. There will be times when there will be great stress. There will also be times when there is incredible joy. Pray for them. Pray for their family, for their husband or wife or children, even their pets, because of the lifestyle change that will happen, for the call that will be upon them, not from just a local parish with 40 or 60 or 200 families, but now from thousands of families, from parishes all across, spanning the width of this province. Pray for their family members as well, for the people around them, and pray that they might, that person, whoever this person is, might have a sense that they are being called to something holy, but they come with humility. I also ask your prayers for all of those people who will be discerning a call. Part of the process of electing a bishop is they create a selection committee or a search committee that creates the job description and understanding what is the role going to look like, or what might it look like. And then they begin the process of calling people for nominations, and how people's names, their names will be nominated, or other bishops from other places, their names could be submitted for nomination, for consideration for election. And only one of those people will be chosen. Only one of those people has been chosen by God. But part of the process of discerning God's mind is that many people's names will be put onto that ballot. Many people will be considered. People will talk to them. They'll be interviewed. They'll have opportunity for prayer and to think about what this might mean if they were to be chosen. And so I ask your prayers for them as well, and prayers for the parishes of all of those who will be nominated, and the one who will be eventually be elected, because that person who is elected leaves behind them a parish that I'm sure will be proud of them and excited for them as they move on to an episcopal ministry, but will also be grieving because they are losing someone losing is not the right word, but they're allowing someone that they have come to love to move forward into a different ministry, which leaves them looking for a new kind of ministry themselves and begins a process of discernment in their own community as well. It's a big thing to take on. But also please pray for the parishes of those who will be named as nominees, because they then go through the whole process of wondering and praying and some worrying and some hoping maybe. And then they will have to recognize that when the time comes that they have done that work of thinking there's a possibility that our priest will no longer be our parish priest, and what will that mean in our lives? And then if their parish priest remains their priest, the dynamic will change. The work has been done to think this person may no longer be our priest, so what will we do next? And then when that doesn't happen, what happens then? How do you resettle? How do you come back and become the priest when there was a possibility when you wouldn't be? All things we really need to think about for all of the people who will allow their names to stand, those who God is calling to say, are you calling me? Here I am. Are you sending me? Because there will be one who will say, here I am, Lord, send me, that God will choose. Through the election, His Holy Spirit will guide the electoral body, the synod, to elect this person as bishop, and the Spirit's will be done. But there will be many who will stand and say, here I am, Lord, is it I you wish to send? So I ask your prayers for the clergy of this diocese and the clergy of other dioceses as well, that might be considering or wondering, are they called to become the new bishop in the Diocese of Edmonton? So please pray for them on an ongoing basis and give them your support and your encouragement. God bless you for taking this ministry of prayer up with me as we go forward for the next few months. Have a great weekend. I will see you again on Sunday for worship for this the fourth Sunday of Lent, and I'll be back with Church at Home with Rachael on Monday morning. So from Thursday night, showing up on Friday morning, God bless you. And if you go out, don't forget to wear your mask. God bless everybody. Good night. Good day. There's the mouse.